Hey guys, League seems like it's speeding up a bit more now. Tabby nerfed, cannon changes, gold changes, ignite buffs, heal nerfs, like there are way more, but these are all making fights more worth it and kind of like it's a bit easier to get a proper lead now. So I thought today, because of that, we could look at some of the best early to mid game champions for each role in Season 8. Ones that you can really use to crush, show you're better, and carry. I did have a quick look to see if it was true. Like League of Graphs has a game duration at around 24 minutes in Diamond, up to 28 in Bronze for Europe and North America. And for Korea, it's about 2 minutes faster, so like 22 minutes in Diamond. Just before we get into each role, I am going to be teaming up with Nubria to try their new brain health supplement called Zone, which is designed for us gamers to improve focus, vision, cognitive function. I think having like a more healthy approach to gaming is really important. This is why I drink loads of water now. I go to the gym every day. I sit up properly. I don't slouch, all this stuff. And Nubria is like so well researched. There are neuroscientists, nutritionists, doctors behind this. So I'm going to give it a go and keep you guys updated on how it goes. There's more info in the description down below, including a code for 25% off and a free pack of charge, which is to boost energy as well. Make sure you check it out and let me know if in future you want me to give away some of these or just give away some RP with them. Okay, so I'll chuck a list and timestamps down below if you like, but I'll go role by role, picking out some that stand out and a wild card for each role as well. We're going to start with the mid lane, and solo laners are by far the ones who can abuse this meta shift the most. To be honest, these are some of the best ones. First up, Katarina. She always has the highest win rate before 20 and 25 minutes in the game. If she gets ahead, the game is pretty much donezo. She's a massive roaming champion though. She can like dumpster a lane, but then use that lead to move the entire game forward. The reason she's so good before like 30 minutes is she doesn't really need more than Gunblade to tear the game apart, and she becomes incredibly difficult to play against. That is a big part of this. Like, it's one thing being able to do that much damage, but another thing being so hard to stop and being able to do all that damage in such a short space of time. Another one kind of similar is Talon, but an AD version, and he will normally go for much more roaming. He again has a lot of very fast damage, and his ability to like bypass walls means that you can't really do that much to stop him moving either. Once he gets a few items, he can kind of just run around and kill everybody, but each time he does that, he's going to be getting something extra, and this is why he's so good. He'll get a kill and then he'll get their tower or like dragon or whatever. It opens up the map so much more, and that soon adds up to a win. Fizz is way more focused on like lane phase normally. If he can get ahead, he is the ultimate dive champion, right? Press R, nothing they can do. You dive, you E out afterwards. It's pretty easy. Fizz is also very slippery, much more slippery than the others we've talked about, so you can't really shut him down that easily or kill him and deal with him. You can easily one-shot people, and this is why you're so good at ending the game quite quickly. Like, you can get ahead, but you put your lane opponent massively behind as well, and it's very tough to deal with a fed Fizz. LeBlanc is another one who could be on here, but she's getting a reverted or reworks, whatever. It's kind of hard to put her in for this video, but something like that. If it's not her, we'll go to Zed instead. Is like the others in some ways, typically builds like flat penetration, lethality to nuke people down, roams around to get more kills, and kind of snowballs the game. Zed has the added outplay potential though with his shadows and his ultimate on top of everything else that he already brings. Like, Zed can not only just get ahead and on his lane, roam around and get the kills like normal, but he can actually crush a single target like ridiculously hard, and it's really difficult to actually deal with that unless you buy a Guardian Angel. The wild card for the mid lane that we're going to talk about, so something a bit different, is Zillion. He is one of the highest win rates in Season 8 so far before 30 minutes into a game. He can do a lot of damage. He can shut down like other assassins, but it's really his teamfight power. So when you have like 1 or 2 items like in the game, having to kill somebody twice is really a game changer. It's so difficult. Add in the AoE stun that he can get off in a fight, and that is an insane amount of teamfight pressure that is really hard to beat basically. Those were kind of mostly assassins really, but like top lane's not the same. They're not all assassins. They can still crush really hard though with certain champions. So Clegg comes in and out of the meta a lot, but he is insane at ending a game before 30 minutes. He just never seems overpowered because he wins a lot less after that. That's probably something that you're going to realize with a lot of these picks. They don't seem overpowered, but that's really, really good at early game. But especially with Conqueror now added on top of everything else that he has, he fights a ton in the lane phase and normally ends up winning them. The reason he can actually end though is down to his ultimate. It's really what lets him actually do that. Like, he gets his lead and then he sets up ganks. He roams around like down the lane and stuff. He moves the game forward in your favor, getting even more every time he uses it. Now Darius though doesn't do that at all, doesn't have as much playmaking, but he just dumps his kids in lane so hard. Getting near him with this new Conqueror Keystone is basically a death sentence. Like if he gets a lead, that becomes 10 times worse as well. The fact that a fed Darius can really get into a fight, get one kill, then reset onto everybody else means he can take over the game and become really difficult to stop, and that is why he wins so much. Another very different one is Singed. He is one of the best early game top laners, but he falls off later, so again, he doesn't really seem insane normally or anything like that. Early though, he has really good damage, good engage, he can ground people so they can't get away, and he starts really good fights. To be honest, he's just very difficult to play against, which again is like another theme I guess with these. You can't really get away from him with the grounding. You probably don't have the damage to kill him yet either, and at that point, he's just going to run at you all day, and there's not much you can do. The wild card is going to be Quinn, designed to batter you in the lane phase. For starters, she is ranged, a bully, and normally versus melee, right? She also normally builds double lethality, so a lot of arm pen that makes her burst a lot harder, but she can just use her ultimate to fly around, use that damage, appearing out of nowhere and suddenly exploding all over you. So jungle honestly used to be full of early game stuff, but Riot really slowed that down deliberately, making jungle pathing way harder to gank all the time. Shaco would normally be here, but not anymore. Like after his changes, he is actually better from mid game with items now. Xin Zhao though has a real burst heavy build at the moment, 80 Trinity Force, which is designed to get stuck in and annihilate. His ultimate can keep him alive at that point as well. You basically have so much damage that if they come in that circle, like you can hit them, you're going to be able to kill them. Xin is not bad late game at all, but like earlier he can duel better, he can gank, he can burst, and that is when his damage is highest in comparison to everybody else's. Rek'Sai is not a common pick here, but in Korea she dominates the early to mid game phase really hard. It's also a pick that a lot of high-low junglers smurf with because you can gank so heavily and deal a lot of damage. You're kind of like an Elise, I guess. You have really good ganks, you have a fast clear, you have the damage to carry, and you're just a really active jungler. Warwick is kind of like our western version of that. Shy in Korea, godlike over here, and mostly because of his early to mid. At that point, he just doesn't really die, but he has a lot of damage and he does everything well. He's going to jump on top of you before 30 minutes, right? Suppress, do a lot of damage with Hydra, have that fear, the damage reduction. Basically, he keeps you locked down for ages while bashing you, and he just doesn't die. Lee Sin, I think, does deserve a mention, but I don't know if you like suck with him, then you'll definitely know about it. You probably don't want to do this, but Lee obviously has really good ganks, and a fed one can absolutely crush. Being able to gank that much and have that much pressure is really good, and if you get ahead, you are going to be able to close the game. You'll be able to kill people, you can even set stuff up with your ultimate, which means you can snowball games, but you have to do it or you're going to fall off more. The wild card is Nunu, and you have a brutal early game. With Red Smite, he'll probably kill you if he finds you. Like, it might take a little while, but he will do it. He can control dragons really well, he gets towers easily, he can set the enemy jungler behind by counter jungling, and his ganks aren't even that trash. This is more of a team pick. The way that he actually like closes the game is he'll be annoying, but he brings so much value to your team, whether as a frontline, a Blood Bowl machine, or in the passive gold that he got your team from towers. So AD carry is not really designed to be early game as much as these solo lanes, but we have some. Draven is always very strong, but like Conqueror gives him this massive burst window when up to kill somebody. It gives you a lot more damage. You also have very high base damage. You don't really need items to do it. Every level up makes you a little bit stronger, and when you add in items on top of that, it just makes him even better. The reason you can really end so early though is because of your passive. The gold you get from that means you have way more gold than other AD carries. You get ahead faster than any others in comparison, and you have more items. Israel seems a little bit of a weird choice, I know, probably one you weren't expecting, but he holds the #1 win rate in Korea at both pre-25 and pre-30 minutes. Poke damage means a lot more at that stage of the game, but item spikes are the real thing here. You have really cheap items, and items faster means power faster, and you can use that power to get a lead. That's kind of the difference at this stage in the game. You're saying that, okay, my 2 items on Ezreal are better than your 1 on a Caitlyn, so I'm going to fight you, I'm going to keep winning those fights, and I'm going to win the game. Now, Miss Fortune is a little bit different. Massive lane bully focused on ability damage and levels, like kind of ranks in your queue. Very difficult to recover versus Miss Fortune in the lane phase though. She has a lot of burst damage. It's very hard to outplay burst damage or do anything against that. This is where lethality also comes into play though. Arm pen is really good at early to mid game, right? At boosting any ability damage that you have. And though it does kind of fall off a little bit later, it's perfect for this stage, the first 30 minutes into a game. For my wild card, it definitely seems a bit weird, but Jinx has moved to be a better better early to mid game AD carry after her buffs. Maybe not as good pre 25 minutes as the others here, but once she gets to do items, she can and will take over the game. A big reason why she can end relatively quickly as well is because her passive is cleanup and is so important. You get one kill and it's likely you're going to get another, then another, and that means you grow leads much bigger than any other AD carry. Support is actually where it's at for bot lane. Supports will often have lane control. They will control the lane. They will decide it as well. Zyra is so good early game right now, but just proper underrated and hardly played. She has poke, she has all in, difficult to deal with, and her ultimate is a game changer that early into the game. It's not just a lane phase power though for her. If she uses that to get ahead, then it is basically like playing against two mid laners in her team fights, and that sucks. And that is why she can win so many so early. Brand is also a lot like that as well. Probably more about the poke and the stun combo though for the lane phase. Getting his like passive off is really good damage and normally is going to get you a kill. That is way more of the focus though, rather than being a monster in the early fights like Zyra. If you get behind versus Brand, he will zone you. He will starve you of gold, and if you get close, he is going to kill you. He is probably actually more dangerous than the enemy AD carry in lane, and you probably want to focus him, which is not normal. Blitzcrank doesn't really need much of an explanation, to be honest. He has always been the ultimate kill lane, just hook and that's it, job done. The part that we really want though is ending early, right? And Blitzcrank can do that by getting hooks over and over again, constantly getting free towers or whatever you're fighting for by getting a free kill at the start. The wild card for me is Nami, also very good at this phase in the game. The reason I don't normally say she's top tier is because in team fights the other mages really overtake her normally. For this video though, it makes a lot of sense, right? Only the first 30 minutes, not major late game team fights. You have lane control, you have damage, poke, and some all-in power with your crowd control as well. Especially if you play against a more passive AD or support, Nami can really abuse that, get a big lead, and that is why she can win a lot of faster games. So let me know who you think could have also been here. These won't be the only ones, but just kind of a few that stood out. Thank you for watching, but for now, I'll leave you with the robots.